Alright, so here in this video we're going to talk about the Desmos image graphs that I tried to get you guys to start the other day. And some of you guys did a great job, got it done your first try. And some other people had, a little bit more difficulty and they needed to see maybe more step-by-step process. So I'm going to give you all three examples here. Again, the idea was we wanted to have a little slideshow for each student, and you guys had about an hour to do it this day. So what I really wanted you guys to start off with was a graph of some kind of transformation of some architecture. Okay, so in this case I used the Eiffel Tower, and I ended up zooming in on this part so that we could see that a little better. Okay, but I did show you from farther out so you could see how the image might have looked when I was closer. Alright, so again, I make a reflection, I labeled my axis of symmetry, and I even put here what this was. Right, this was a reflection across the line, x equals 0, or I could have also called it the y-axis. Right, so we label that, we have this. Okay, so then in your slideshow, once you make this, all you had to do was go find a little bit of lore about the thing that you graphed, and then, so by lore I mean some kind of story behind it, but something specifically to make us a little curiosity, something that's like a legendary story about this place. Which is kind of a clue, right? That you should be picking something that is meaningful. You don't want to just pick a random, stone on the sidewalk or something. Pick something that is significant, right? It makes your life easier for that. Okay, so if people didn't do the lore and the attractive photo, which is what happens too, we also want a photo of our thing that we're graphing, but we want to see it from like an angle that might be more artistic or more colorful and a little less scientific of an angle, right? So in this case, I found this pretty colorful sunset. I thought it was a good way to start off, right? So we know we're looking at the Eiffel Tower. Then we tell our people, hey, they started building this in 1887, and it was done in about a couple years, and it was the tallest structure in the world for about 40 or so years, right? So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that about the Eiffel Tower. And then you could see that my work would be done, and I would be counting on my partners to do their stuff, and if they needed help, then I would try to go support them and be like, cool, I'm done with my work now. How can I help you guys finish, right? So this is the way you want to do things, right? So a reflection was necessary. You want to do a rotation or a translation. So I have here one example of how you might be able to do a rotation, but I actually realized that I think we want to go step by step. So I'm going to do a whole new rotation for you right now. Okay, so let's see how I set this up. First off, you need to make an observation that something is being rotated. So I noticed here that this shape kind of has like a center, and I noticed these shapes are kind of like copies of each other, right? We have this little triangular figure here, right? Kind of like a triangular shape in the way these buildings are, right? So what we're going to do is rotate this 90 degrees. Let's go counterclockwise. So I'll rotate it so that it's up here. Okay, so to rotate that counterclockwise, the first thing we want to do is create 3 points, all right? Because I know the shape that I wanted to copy was a triangle, right? Now after I copy this triangle that's inside this little hollow part of the city block that we're talking about, then what I'm going to do is go label the points. So if you don't add this little box, notice that the labels go away, okay? So if you don't type a letter and you click the label, then it'll give you the coordinates. And we don't really want that in this case. It's going to make the picture look too cluttered. So we'd much rather just have the letter A to tell us what that is, the letter B to show us this one, and the letter C for this one. And you can see that those, sometimes when you move the picture around a little bit, or if you zoom in, you'll see that they'll jump around just a little bit. So you adjust that as needed, and you'll see that it takes a little bit of kind of getting things into place, right? So at any rate, we have this already put down. So now what we want to talk about is our next points, okay? We want to rotate these 3 points, right? So I want to get an A prime, a B prime, and a C prime, okay? So what I taught you guys in order to do that is we actually have to make 3 new points with new names, right? And then we have to give those a label, right? So let's go ahead and create this point D, and then I'm going to take this point and I'm going to move it up here for now, okay? We're just going to get it out the way. Then I'm going to put a point E, okay? We can see where point E is in a second. And sometimes if you move the numbers around, you can see it a little better. So let's say that I change this to 5. We can see that now it's more visible. It was kind of hidden from the other ones, right? So changing the colors is important, right? I want the first colors to be green, and I want the after to be red. So we'll change all of these points to be red. This one will also be red. Okay, so now you can see, okay, this red one is the one that I wanted to move up here somewhere, right? And this one also. Okay, well notice they don't have any labels, so I don't know which one's supposed to be A prime and which one's supposed to be B prime and so on, right? So I need to go label them. So let's call this A prime, let's call this B prime, and let's call this last one C prime. So now I have some points, but we just don't have the right numbers, okay? So it needs to go inside of D, okay? We need to remember how to do rotation clockwise, right? And so to do a rotation clockwise, I have to take my points, right, my coordinates. So if I'm going to do A prime, I'm going to copy these two. Okay, I'm going to go copy them into D. Okay, but the problem was when we do this, we have to remember that to move something counterclockwise, we're supposed to change the X and the Y. So that means I got to move I'm going to copy this, right, and I'm going to delete it and move this here, and then I'm just going to paste it right there. You see, I just flipped the 2 points around. That's all I did, okay? I got to erase that comma for it to show up. Okay, so now it looks like we got that in the right place, but there's only one problem. After you rotate a point counterclockwise, we're supposed to change the sign of the one on the left after you move them around. So if I delete that, I have moved this counterclockwise the right way. Now I just have to do the same thing for B. So again, I'm going to take my coordinates for B, and I'm going to put those in there for E because this is going to be B prime. Okay, and then try to recall how I'm going to move these coordinates around. I'm going to copy this one so that I could just move them and switch their places right now. Next to it, I'm going to put the one that I just had. Okay? Again, to go counterclockwise, that means we have to change the sign of the one on the left after we switch coordinates, so that becomes positive. And then right here, I got to do the same thing. I'm going to go look at what C was. I'm going to steal these coordinates, right? And then I'll copy them and go paste them into the coordinates for our C prime, which right now is labeled as F, but you know, the label is C prime, so on the picture we'll see C prime. All right, again, I'm going to copy this point. I'm going to switch places, so I'm just going to delete this one, and then on the left, I'm going to put the 0.6 that used to be there. Okay, so now look at what happened. We have our points, okay, but just don't forget we have to change the sign of the one on the left, and now look at what we have. We have a triangle that got rotated 90 degrees, okay? The last step I have to do is just create a polygon to connect those points. Okay, but again, on the picture, they look like A prime, B prime, and C prime, but in the computer, they're called D, E, and F, so I will have to label them D, comma E, comma F, and then that would give me my triangle right here. And if I go change the color to red, and that would be kind of following the procedure that we want, all right? So this would be a decent example. I'm just trying to give you guys the procedure for how we make a rotation and how we do it in Desmos using some polygons. So I mean, this is pretty done, all right? I would go here and take a snip of what I have. First I'd get this part. Okay, so I might copy that. Or if I feel like I didn't really get enough, I might try to catch more of the image to make sure that we get more of like the symmetry and like the repetition of the same shapes, right? So in this case, I got something like that, right? So now if I copy this, I can go put this as a new slide into my presentation. So I was saying we'll go add that slide for our new rotation. Right, so I'll probably get rid of that one. I'll keep the slide for now. I'll just add a new one. So in this case, we have our image, right? We understand that this is a rotation about the origin, so I probably add a text box to tell me what this is, just how we always do. And then we would, we just label everything, right? So this is a rotation. Degrees, counterclockwise about the origin. Okay, so however you think you get that to fit, if you want to put it together, you can reorganize it and mess with the fonts and stuff like that, okay? But the main thing is that you guys can, you know, make sure the image still is visible and isn't like too messed up, all right? So we have our coordinates, so one easy way to represent this now would be to just go snag these, this little thing would be one way to do it, right? I could take my coordinates and show them right here. that we can see that they're all just being changed. And it's really not that much work to do this, right? So if I just go here and snag those coordinates, right? I can go add those onto my picture, onto my slide, right? And, you know, they don't have to be that big. So I can lower, but now we have like a little way to represent exactly what we needed to show, right? That these points got rotated by following the arrow notation that we had, right? So I could go in here, take a snip of these last points. Okay, then we can see that we have the ones we need. Okay, so again, just play with the idea that you have here. We can see these right next to each other and notice the pattern that I was trying to show you, right? You know, we're not done creating this thing by any means, right? But again, I'm just trying to show you guys how to start the work. Everything that you want to get into place would then be, you know, all the little details, right? If I'm going to add the lines, we want to try to organize these things to make it look like it's not unfinished, you know? Okay, another thing that we might do is add a background color so that it seems maybe more complete. So if I change the back to be black, maybe this stands out a little more. And now I got a little bit of room to write on the side, right? So I could add something about this being Barcelona, depending where I want to put it. Maybe I want to add these points up here. Okay, maybe I want to put the A and B next to the ones they represent, right? These go with these, and this goes with that one. Okay, and then now all I need is a little text box that says Barcelona, and if I want to copy the same style, a quick way to do that would just be click on the border, and you can copy and paste an equal text box, and you have to go do all of the little formatting again, right? I could just go type in here Barcelona, Spain. And then we could try to get some of the picture back so that it doesn't all get eaten up, right? Okay, if we use the whole slide, we got a lot of space to let the slide maybe do its thing a little more. Okay, and like I said, it's just a matter of, you know, playing with all the little things now and trying to make it look even better. So at this point I have something, it's complete. I have everything that we needed to have, right? So there we go, I rotated about the origin. So like I said, that's a rotation, okay? There's a way to do a translation too that I'd like to show you. So like we said, we have an example of a rotation that we've done together. Now what would I do though, you know, in the process that we've been talking about? Now that I got my image graph, right, I would go make a slide that's going to be my lore of this whole thing, right? So if I was going to do that, I'd have a, you know, lore of Barcelona. All right, so I might go look up something like that. And then for this one, I would find like a really attractive image of Barcelona, of that idea. So we could try a Barcelona aerial view to maybe see a different kind of, maybe like nighttime view might be a little bit more striking, right? I see this one right here. It kind of gets me. And so don't forget, you could look at tools, make sure you get a large one. And then, you know, maybe just mess with the keywords. Add night, New Year's, whatever it is that you are interested in right now that lets you feel like you see something special, all right? In this case, let's see how this image comes out. You could open it in a new image, in a new tab, and take a look at it. You can see this one's terrible, all right? It looked like it was going to be all right, but it's really not good. Okay, it is a cool city. And some of the images that you see, you know, they might look like they're high resolution. That's why I always invite you guys to right click it, open it in a new tab, and go take a look at it, okay? Now this probably wouldn't be the image that I want, but it does look like that was a high resolution photo, right? So just keep digging, like I said, until you find something that you like. All right, this one's kind of interesting. All right, but it doesn't look high resolution enough. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that Barcelona is on the water, so it is kind of like a beach town too. So maybe that would be something that I saw a photo up here a second ago, right? This one right here, right? So maybe this would be cool. All right, so if I wanted to take that and copy the image and go add that to be my first, the attractive image of Barcelona. I go label it. All right, I see this as a watermark, so I definitely would not use this. So that's out. But you guys get the vibe, right? You're gonna look up a photo, find something really striking, take the time. I mean, I think the best way to really do it is if you went to Instagram and look up a really good photo. Take a screenshot, email it to yourself, and you avoid dealing with the Google image search that really isn't as good maybe as social media sometimes. All right, this one looks really cool. All right, maybe it's not as high resolution as we want, so like I said, keep doing that. All right, take a look at him like that. All right, so that's how you do a rotation. I hope that helps you out a little bit. I'll try to make another video about how to do a translation next.